Yo yo, and we're back with more Dark Souls 3 here in Firelink Shrine. Just going to explain a couple things I think I forgot to last video. So you'll see all these blood stains all around on the ground. So anywhere you are in the world you'll probably see these. So what these are is these are the blood stains of other players who have died in the location that you are. So sometimes you can actually get a hint, like, I mean, if you watch their ghost, like here I'll hit A and you can see them and how they died, or what they were doing when they died. So clearly he just got hit there. But I mean, if they fall off a ledge, or if it looks like something impacts and hits them, then you could maybe get a heads up on a trap or something like that. If you're going down a hallway and there's 100 bloodstains in a row, right? And you kind of look at a couple of them and see they're all running a certain direction or doing maybe the same type of thing, it could kind of give you a little hint. And in Dark Souls, like, any type of tip or hint that you can give yourself is always welcome. So the other thing I explained but didn't show was the FP bar in the top left and your weapon arts. So for this particular weapon here, and you'll see it'll drain blue off my bar, I hold it and it puts me in a stance like this, and then if I use a strong attack, it will actually do that upward thrust, and I believe that breaks shields and is also quite a damaging attack. And then we'll rest at the bonfire. Again, here it'll refill my FP, as you see. Got the Firekeeper as well. There's a couple other NPCs here. So this will be a merchant for us.
A pleasure to make thine acquaintance, Ashen One. I am but a humble handmaid of the shrine. Weapons, armor, trinkets, and spells. I've lots of little things to ease the burden of a weary traveler. And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my goods away. Ashen One, fetch souls and bring them to me. As is thy wont, no?
I think she means want. So yeah, you can purchase things here. There's embers, repair powder, because your weapons and armor do have durability, and once the durability is down or gone, they're no longer effective. Cure your poison, fire bombs, inflict a lot of damage, show item info. Where's that button? Yeah, X. So one of the most important things in any Dark Souls game, your item descriptions, right? So you read item descriptors, item descriptions for things in Dark Souls, and it will basically give you a glimpse into the lore, and also tell you things that maybe are not obvious at first glance from picking them up. And it explains here, for example, like fire damage differs from physical, is highly effective against creatures of flesh, beasts, and other foes that might naturally have cause to fear the flame. So certain enemies, for example, when Gundyr changed into the Abyss form there, and I'll be showing this here in this video, I'm thinking, when we get to one of these guys, but any Abyss creature you hit with fire does a ton of damage to them, and other creatures you will hit with fire or bombs or fire embedded weapons, and instead of actually continuing to attack you, it will cause them to writhe in pain and just basically become useless and lay on the ground and let you hit them, right? So if you don't know that, certain enemies could be very difficult with the weapon or the build that you're using, but if you have a fire-infused weapon or fire bombs available, you basically just trivialize those encounters. Prism stones, you can leave yourself a little path, kind of like crumbs in the woods. I'm not going to go through every item here, just kind of, you know, you get an idea. But again, you read the item descriptions, and they always give you some insight into the world. This will become important. We'll be wanting to buy this, so that we can access a part of Firelink Shrine here that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. Your white soapstone is going to be clutch, so that you can engage in jolly cooperation with your other sun bros if you want to co-op. Homer Bone I explained before. Farron Dart's a sorcery. Heal Aid is a miracle, which are two different types of spells. Miracles are based off of faith. Sorceries, I believe, are based off of intelligence, and certain ones will require both. Also some basic weapons and charms and shields, armors, arrows available here. You can also sell her things that we don't need. So you can sell her these, what's it say, a smidgen of souls. The fading soul of a corpse. We've picked these up off of enemies or just laying around, right? And these will give us additional souls. So we can actually consume them ourselves, or we can sell them. You get the same amount regardless. So I'm just going to go ahead and sell them to her here. And so you can see in the top right we have 8,700 souls, and we'll be using those to level up. I'm probably going to be leveling up my vigor and endurance first, and this will be a quality build. So what that means is I'm going to basically end up with 40 strength and 40 dexterity. So a quality build is going to allow you to pretty much wield any weapon in the game that you want to, outside of maybe a few that require like some intelligence or faith investment or whatever, but not going to be looking at those. I'd say like 95% of the weapons in the game, if you have a quality build, you can use, because they'll require either dexterity or strength and scale off of one, the other, or both, right? So great for newer players, which is kind of who this is geared towards. You know, people who are maybe not looking to experiment, but just looking to play the game, get through the game, and not make it particularly difficult on yourself. I mean, it's difficult no matter what, but you can kind of help yourself out by you know, putting points into certain areas and allowing for you to utilize a range of different weapons. So maybe you're using one thing against an enemy, it's not working well, you use something else that completely changes the game and makes it easy for you. And as I said before, you always want to exhaust all the dialogue with every NPC. So just because you talk to somebody once doesn't mean that that's all they have to offer. You could talk to somebody once and never even start their quest, or whatever the case may be, because you haven't exhausted all of their dialogue and gone through all the options. So we'll talk to her again.
Ashen One, if my wares are not to thy satisfaction, bring me umbral ash. With ash, I'll fashion new wares. Is it not our sorry fate to sup on death?
So umbral ash is pretty crucial. I mean, you're going to find it. It's like special items that are going to be found throughout the world, and you're going to find certain ash in places, and you bring her that ash, and it will give her the ability to sell items that she wouldn't have otherwise. And of course, like everything else in Dark Souls, it's missable, the same as the NPCs that are going to populate this area. First we'll talk to my boy Andre here. So this is if you haven't played, this is from Dark Souls 1 throwback. Friendship, yeah. And so that's a message of players left. And yeah, this guy is our Dark Souls 1 blacksmith.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust. A toilsome journey, I'd wager. You'll require good arms. Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
So yeah, I mean, he will reinforce our weapon, which will upgrade it, whatever weapon you have, and it will tell you, will show you obviously where your damage is going to be improved. At the bottom you see the attribute bonus highlighted in blue. So the, I believe it goes from A to E, or S, sorry, to E, S being the highest, and then A, B, C, D in descending order. And the higher that is, or so to speak, then the better that weapon will scale off of that particular attribute. So in this case, we can see if I was to upgrade this, it will go from a D scaling in strength to a C scaling in strength, and then the bottom shows you the requirements and your stats to wield the weapon. So eventually you upgrade a weapon, maximum is to a +10. So once you've maxed something out, it may have an S or A in scaling of a stat that you have heavily invested in, and make it so that your damage is considerably increased with that weapon. We're not going to upgrade anything now. I'm going to wait probably to get a better weapon and save my stuff. You can also infuse your weapon. So you could use, for example, a refined gem, a raw gem, or a fire gem. You can see in the top left there, and that will change as you see with the stats. It will change how the weapon works as far as what type of damage it will do, which is also quite useful. You can repair your equipment here, which we don't have to repair anything. We can allot our Estus here, which is interesting. So this is another new mechanic of Dark Souls 3 versus the other two. So you can decide, okay, I want to have more mana potions basically than health potions, and depending on your build, you're going to do that. I'm going to go with 4 healing because I really have no spells. I don't know if I'm going to end up using any, probably not, maybe 1 at some point, but we don't need to worry about that now. So we'll just give us 4 healing flasks instead of any mana. You can reinforce your Estus flask, which will make it stronger, but you need an Estus shard, as it says there, in order to do that, and you give it to Andre. And what that does is when you heal, it heals you for more. So you'll see your Estus flask in the bottom left will have like a +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be, and the higher it is, the more an individual potion will heal you. So we'll also see if he
Weapons and protection are
has
sturdy
more dialogue.
enough by and large, but when overused, they'll eventually break. When their durability is low, repair becomes a necessity. Use a powder, or simply rest at a bonfire. But should chance impel them break, bring them me. I'll hammer them back into shape. They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure ye. So handle them with care, if you would.
So, yeah.
Be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
So yeah, like as he just explained, he is explaining durability. It's really not that big of a deal in Dark Souls 3. I mean, there's so many bonfires in this game that you really are probably not going to break your weapon as often as you're going to end up running into a bonfire. So eventually there will be an NPC here. I believe he's the Pyromancer. You have to find these people within the world. Your Sorcerer, I believe, is right here. Around the corner here we'll have Yol, I think his name is, one of the pilgrims that we rescue and bring, perhaps. I can't remember. But there will be somebody to sell you miracles, somebody to sell you sorceries, Grey Rat, who we're going to find, I believe, in the Undead Settlement here will be like the first one, and the Pyromancer, and they will be, one of them will be behind me, and Grey Rat, I think, chills down here. You basically find them and then instruct them to come back to the shrine, and they do, and once you come back here, they're available for you to purchase things. Actually, I think Yule will end up over here, but not important. We'll see anyway. But yeah, when you're first here, obviously, if you've never played the game, you don't know what's going on. You're thinking, wow, this is a pretty big, empty place, and hoping that something will end up filling those spaces. It's our boy Hawkwood again. I'm going to see about going up and outside of Firelink Shrine here. And can't actually recall where I'm supposed to do that. No, it's a drop down. It's not important anyway. I was going to say there's some items and things. That's up here. You can access the outside of Firelink Shrine. Famous Souls character named Patches will eventually be right here as a merchant and available to you later in the game if you do the quest and run into him. So we can exit out here, and as you can see, there's a ladder there that we can't that we need to kick down from the roof. We can't get up it. Pick the soul of a deserted corpse. Try and access here. Of course it won't. It's locked. That's where purchasing for 20,000 souls, as I had said, was going to be crucial to accessing an area of Firelink Shrine that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. That's what I was talking about right there. So this is a little tricky. I'm going to try this. I'm not going to waste a lot of time with it. This is probably what this message is saying from a player, is basically you can jump off this tree on an awkward angle if you can kind of come up and then to the right and land on the roof there, which I'm going to try. It's a bit of an awkward jump. And losing sanity could be from a player who's been trying this for a bit and not able to do it. So I'm going to try and see if we can't. Yeah, as you can see, it's a little awkward, but you can, if you hit it at the right angle, end up on the roof. I think I got to go a little more left. Like I said, I'll try this for a minute here, but if we don't get it, it's not the end of the world. Oh, close. There we go. Got it. So yeah, now we're up here. Grab a couple Homer bones. Make our way all the way around here. on the roof. And that's typical Dark Souls right there, something that might not be obvious to you when you're first doing it. And then you discover or kind of see a note on the ground that may describe something. Here's the swordsman down there. So if you're doing a dex build or even a quality build like I am, that can be a badass weapon that you get off of him. Now, you might be able to knock him off the edge there, but in a straight up fight, I probably will attempt to fight him here, but he is pretty tough, especially this early. You can come back later and kick his ass, but we're gonna give him a go after we go inside here. Check out the nest. So we're gonna go around the outside. You can see all the Firelink Shrine down below us there. So this is interesting. We're gonna come up and find this raven's nest.
You, me, pickled pea. Me, bumperum.
So there's an Estus shard. As I was saying before, pretty crucial. We can go give that to Andre, and it will make our Estus flask +1.
You, me, pickled pea. Me, bumper.
There's another Dark Souls classic, Illusory Walls. Hard to tell whereabouts they are. So the thing with the Raven's Nest there, I'm not going to get into all of it right now, but you can leave certain items there. And when you leave items, you'll receive items in return. So for instance, Solaire, who's like a super popular character, he's the Sunbro, he's like Dark Souls 1, face of the franchise basically. The whole Praise the Sun comes from him. You get the Jester from him in Dark Souls 1, and but anyway, you can leave certain things with that crow and get a piece of his armor, like the arms, the legs, the chest, etc. And you have to know what to leave. Now, I would just say check the wiki if you really want to know, because there's such a long list of items. But back here, from getting through the illusory wall, we're going to have a chest with an item. The covetous silver serpent ring. So this ring is going to increase, and we're going to equip it right now. It's going to increase the amount of souls that you get when you kill enemies, which is pretty sweet, especially early here where we don't have anything else to wear as a ring anyway, except for the life ring here, which I selected, if you remember, as my starting thing. Another interesting thing to note with the chests here is you can see how the chain there to the right of the chest is curled. Now, if it was more of an S, if there was like a twist on the end of that tail before I opened it, I would know that this chest is a mimic. In other words, it's an enemy, and I would do that rather than try and open it, at which point it will put you in its mouth and eat you. I didn't think so, but I thought I'd check that. Yeah, so another interesting thing about Souls, and Dark Souls 3 actually has a lot, especially in comparison to 1 and 2, a lot of mimic chests, so definitely something you want to pay attention to. They can do some pretty harsh damage to you, much like everything in Dark Souls. There's really nothing in Dark Souls that can't kill you if you're not paying attention, or you're not, you know, if you take it for granted and you're like, oh, this guy's just a simple skeleton. Well, a simple skeleton can end your day pretty quickly in this game, so. We've talked to the Firekeeper, we've talked to all the other NPCs, we've explored outdoor, we've jumped up top there. I guess let's go and attempt, as I said, let's go, and I'll try this once anyway, and we'll see. He's probably going to kill me, but we'll try after we spend our souls and level up, we'll try and go and kill the swordsman there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So I'm going to look in my inventory, see if there's anything I can consume. There's one item I can consume for some more souls. And we're going to talk to the Firekeeper here and level up.
Ashen One, produce the coiled sword at the bonfire.
Already did that.
The mark of ash will guide thee to the land of the lords. To Lothric, where the homes of the lords converge.
So, again, she's kind of explaining, as a lot of NPCs do, kind of in the same way Andre explained, weapon durability. she's explaining, because if you didn't know and you just sat and rested at the bonfire and didn't use the travel option yet, you might think that you're going to walk back outside here and go find the next area, but that's actually not how it works. You're going to have to actually use the bonfire here behind us to travel to an area that we haven't been yet, instead of going outside and finding our way down a path. And which is a little different from Dark Souls 1 in that the entire world of Dark Souls 1 is just a masterpiece of game design, as far as it's one big interconnected level, the entire game, and you walk through one area into the next, and a lot of this is like that, but not the same as Dark Souls 1. So we'll
Very
level up.
well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
So we're gonna have quite a few levels we can do. As you can see up at the top, it only requires 811 right now for us to level up, and we have 8,900. So, as I said, I'm not really gonna work. I'm eventually going to be worrying about strength and dex for quality builds. So I'm gonna give 1 to dex just to even it out with strength, just because I'm OCD like that. But then mostly I'm going to be putting points into my endurance, which is my stamina. It's going to allow me to dodge, roll, swing, block, like attack more. Everything's based on endurance, right? So we're going to get that up, and we're going to get our health up first and foremost, and go from there. And as you can see, it was 800 before to level up. Now it'll cost me 1,800 next time I want to level up, and that will just continue to scale up as we play the game. So again, I don't know, I haven't fought this guy too many times. I don't know if he can be parried. I don't know if it's worth trying to parry him necessarily, as opposed to just blocking and hopefully either knocking him off the side here or just whooping him traditionally. But he'll be fast, and he'll be aggressive. He'll be on the offensive for sure. See if we can't get a charge attack in on him here when he gets close. No, just missed. Neither one of us are looking like we're too anxious to get too close to one another. There we go. Got a charging thrust in on him. Try and block here. And see, that's bleed damage, as you can see in the bottom building up there. I'll let him hit me once more just to... I'm sure I won't have to let him, he probably just will. But when he hits... like that, see? Now it's building up bleed on the bottom there, so if that bar fills, it will begin to drain my health pretty aggressively. Oh. Back up. I'm still embered, as you can see from the boss fight, so I'm benefiting from that extra bonus health. Oh, come on. See, and as simple as that, like, you can just get blocked in this game and just basically get killed by the environment. If you're not careful, just roll right off the edge here. Or conversely, knock him off the edge. Oh, you might get me here. This is going to be close. Oh. Yep. So he parried me, as you heard there. That noise was the noise that goes off when you successfully parry somebody. So obviously he opened me up. He didn't even have to walk up and give me the critical hit because I had so little health left. But yeah, I think I might, since he's building up bleed damage, we just have to wait a second, I think, for this fog wall to come down. It needs to load the area, which is kind of weird. It's like I'm playing on console. But yeah, I'm gonna go back, and I think what I'm gonna do is just two-hand my weapon here. We're not embered anymore, so my health will be lower. It's not worth using an ember to kill this guy. I'll give him one more shot here, because he drops the Uchi Katana, which is a nice katana weapon, good dex weapon, especially early here. But I don't plan on using it. I just kind of want to kick his butt just cause. I'll try and use my weapon art here if I can. Oh. and just missed him with it. Try it again. There we go. Might as well. And I almost died already, falling off the edge. Tried to charge up my weapon, but not really effective against a faster guy necessarily. So we'll just try and get as many swings in on him as we can. Put my stamina back up. Whoa. And again, as I said, like, you want to be careful. I might fall off the edge there and die, or I just get pinned in between all these awkward spaces and gravestones and things. And like I said in the last video, the more you play, the more you're getting used to it, the more you become acutely aware of the environmental hazards as well as the NPC and enemy hazards, because, I mean, I can't count the amount of times gravity has killed me in Dark Souls more than enemies just not being careful and falling off an edge, right? I mean, you fight maybe 2 or 3 times a guy like this, and just you finally get him down to like where he's only 1 hit away from dying, and you've been trying for a half hour or an hour or something to kill a guy, and then you just fall off the edge because you're not paying attention. Damn, he's got reach with that thing. So also, like, you can see the moves he's using. That is the moveset of that weapon. It's the exact same moves that you will get if and when you kill him and take his weapon from him. Oh. My timing is just so bad. Whoa. I don't know if his weapon can be parried. I guess I could have tried there, but given that it's a fairly difficult tactic to pull off, I usually don't risk it on characters that I'm unsure of. Certain enemies I know, and I know well what their parry window is and what attacks more specifically are the easier ones to parry, because just because an enemy can be parried doesn't mean you want to try and parry all of their attacks. Other than that, they can also be wielding something like an ultra greatsword two-handed, which simply cannot be parried. The weight is too much, the weapon is too powerful, you can't parry it at all. Pick my souls back up. Alright, you're getting it this time. Or he's gonna parry me. See, I tried to parry there. Now I'm trapped. I can't even get out of that corner. And that's Dark Souls in a nutshell. So I'm gonna try this guy one more time, and then we'll probably cut this video off because we've explored Firelink Shrine, we've talked to all the NPCs, kind of explained what goes on here, what to expect. And obviously we want to get going with the actual progression through the zones. So yeah, I'm not sure why this is, to be honest, but it's always been like this. You have to just basically wait for it to parse the information or the data or whatever it is before it's loading the area for you, which you don't see really happen in too many other areas in the game other than Firelink Shrine. So I'm not quite sure if it's only here or what. Oh. drop attack on him? No. What the fuck? See, I think he fell down and he was actually downed, and then I fell, and for whatever reason it didn't give the drop attack on him. Anyway, one more try, and then we're shutting that down. I could maybe like try and throw some fire bombs at him or some shit like that, but I don't really want to use that kind of stuff for this. We actually had him really low the first time we fought him, and can kind of stun lock him if we get him trapped in our R1 combo like this. But also, given that he can parry, you also want to be careful, because just throwing mindless R1 attacks like this is what Dark Souls loves to punish you for. You want to have a varied move set. And like, I mean, my move when I'm running here, like, that's a different swing than if I just stand still and swing. If I dodge back and then use that move, it's also a different move, as you can see. He'll come back and then again forward, as my strong attack is different. And if I come back and then use a strong attack, again, also a different combo. Oh. See if we can't just poke him a little bit here first. There we go. Barely missed that one there. Get greedy with the parries. Parried me. It's a madhouse of parries up here. Luke parry almost, one would say. Jab. Oh no! Again, the environment there, he's just below you, right, on that level, so that stab just missed his head. Oh! Done. Well played, sir. So that oftentimes is what will happen to you when you're PvPing. And Dark Souls and series and Bloodborne are some of the only games where fighting the NPCs sometimes is tougher or worse than actually fighting people. Most people I actually do fairly well against, unless they have twink builds or they're hacking or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, most of the time you'll be watching for people to kind of use this R1 spam like that, which is more easily parried, and you're just kind of fishing for that. And so you want to be very careful when you're PvPing that you want to, you know, change up your moveset, even change your weapon partway through the fight, use some tactics that they might not see coming. I'm just going to try one more time here. I know I said that a couple times, but you know how it goes. You get pissed off and you want to try and get past something, so I'm going to try and land a couple parries here if I can, maybe bait that one move and see if I can't parry it. The thing with the katanas is obviously you get locked in the combo, they hit pretty fast, and this thing's got bleed on it also, so it's one of the reasons you want the weapon for yourself, but it also makes it quite difficult to fight against. Now that being like it's a piercing attack, I don't know if that one's as easy to parry. Try and get him to come at me with the longer strike if I can. Like that one, I think maybe you can. That one, yeah, I think if I could have, I probably would have done it there. Whoa, jumping attack. This guy's just naked too, like, bring it, buddy. Giving zero fucks about us. Oh. Yeah, fuck this guy for now. I don't remember him being this tough, but I think last time I fought him, I was also probably 20 levels higher, maybe, or something like that, and, you know, I've got 2 or 3 other builds and other characters in this game, and, last time I remember fighting him, I think was with, like, some form of Ultra Greatsword, and I basically just used a charge attack, and it just, like, shatters half his health and downs him if you just land one charge attack. And obviously with your short being this sword, if you have an Ultra Greatsword and it's considerably longer, and like the equivalent of that move on an Ultra Greatsword is like a two-handed overhead smash that basically just completely staggers and cripples people. And like I say, you can I mean, once it's leveled up a little bit too, you can one or two shot guys. But it is what it is, and yeah, I'll try and get him, and hopefully I will, and we'll come back with the next video here and head off to the High Wall of Lothric now that we've completely explored and explained this area. So yeah, we'll see you soon.